I had to develop my own leadership style, but also have my own voice.
Hello everyone and welcome back to myArbitration. Today we're here in Paris to meet with Claudia Salomon, the president of the ICC Court. Let's go meet her.
La vie est un grand voyage, j'ai envie de vivre les délivrer de ces illusions, ce que toi et moi rêvions. La vie est un grand voyage, j'ai envie de vivre les délivrer de ces illusions, ce que toi et moi rêvions.
Hi Claudia.
Hello.
Thank you for hosting us. This is beautiful.
It's a great setting and I'm so happy to talk with you.
So we're here now today on the rooftop of the ICC in Paris. I love it. Can you tell us a little bit about your role as ICC president?
Sure. I started July 1st of this year and went through an extensive selection process. There was a selection committee and know that quite a number of people from around the world applied for the position. I really have been dedicated to ICC for most of my career. I had served as the U.S. Member on the court and as a vice president, but also I was even the chair of the Young Arbitrator Forum when it was only in the US. So I've really been connected to the ICC my entire career and really believe in what ICC is trying to accomplish. I have served as counsel for more than 25 years. I was co-chair of a global international arbitration practice and had really begun to serve as arbitrator as well over the last few years. But I was also really ready for an executive role, excited to have the opportunity to build on a strategy and really think about the way in which I could with the rest of the team, really shape the field of international arbitration and alternative dispute resolution.
And when you applied for that role, did you at some point feel like this was an overwhelming process or a daunting challenge?
Well, definitely a daunting challenge because you can think, okay, well, I've been a lawyer and then this role obviously requires different skills. On the other hand, the role requires skills that I believe or hope that I have, which is really building teams and thinking about what the strategy should be and then actually executing on that strategy. So it was kind of taking a stock of what my skills are and what my experiences are and then applying that to what this role actually is. For me, stepping in as the first woman in this role, I know very well that I had to develop my own leadership style, but also have my own voice because so much of what I do in this job is communicate. So I knew that I couldn't emulate any of my predecessors, not because they haven't done well, but because I had to have my own voice. And I also really knew that I wanted to have my own approach because my approach is really one in which we build and focus not just on diversity, but also on inclusion and really create a culture in which everybody feels comfortable and feels like they've been heard. And that was something really important to me and something I think about every time I speak to a group.
Can I ask, and because I think you did such a beautiful job at that, I was really touched when you launched your career with this global dance party. I've never seen anything like this, and I thought it was so human and it connected so many people. How long did you think of that idea?
Well, I really just felt incredibly happy and also that really wanted to celebrate this incredible global diversity and knew that we couldn't be in the same room and knew that it wasn't time for something that was stuffy, and that the future of international arbitration, the energy is with the new generation. So I just really wanted to mark something that was really reflective, not only of the global aspect of our community, but the energy associated with the community.
And I think that was beautiful. I mean, you did so many great initiatives that you've spoken in other channels, but that one was for me just like a great example that everyone can relate to. Do you think it's okay, or it should be encouraged, that you show some vulnerability and human traits at the workplace? Is it okay to show that you're exhausted, that you're tired, that you feel challenged?
I don't think it's an issue of disclosing necessarily a vulnerability or a weakness, but I do think it's really important to be a whole person, that you bring your entire self to the office, you bring your entire self to the role, and that you can talk about and bring those personal experiences and perspectives to what you're doing, because we're all whole entire people and dealing with losses, especially over the pandemic, and challenges, and we have to address all of those and recognize that everybody is a whole person. So I have utilized, again, when I've spoken to different groups, I've shared some personal experiences, because those personal experiences are what I bring to the table in terms of my leadership, the types of priorities I am putting forward, and it gives an explanation of the background for why I'm focused on particular things.
When you face a daunting task or challenge, do you ever feel like you might not be up to it? And if you do, how do you keep believing in yourself?
I think we all do, and maybe women just admit it more, but I just know that typically the only way through is through, and that you take everything one step at a time and then you're able to accomplish it, but also knowing that so much of what we're striving to do has to be done with a team, and recognizing that I don't necessarily have every skill that would be required, and that's why teams are needed. And so the most important thing is actually to recognize what skills you don't have, so that you make sure you bring the other people in and then can actually accomplish those things.
How important do you think is it to achieve diversity and equality in the field? And do you think that even small initiatives can contribute?
So diversity and inclusion is an absolute priority, and it's incredibly important. It's important because for the legitimacy of international arbitration, we have to reflect the global business community. And the global business community is diverse, and they rightfully expect the arbitrators and those who are involved in decision making to reflect their community. And so for me, it is incumbent on the businesses, for in-house counsel, to insist on diversity of their arbitrators, and it's incumbent on everybody to consider that to be something that is essential to what we do. Diversity is not enough. There has to be an inclusive element to it, where the ICC Court is now the most diverse in its history, with 195 members from 120 different countries. And we are more women than men, and more court members from Africa than ever before. But it's not enough to just have the membership of the court if people don't feel that their voices are appreciated, that no matter where they're from in the world, no matter what their backgrounds are, they actually have an equal voice in the workings of the court. And that was something that I emphasized in our orientation programs even before the term started, so that everybody knew that their contribution was going to be valued. I really believe in small steps. I mean, I believe we will increase diversity in international arbitration one lawyer at a time. That is why I have kind of even reached out to some diverse lawyers in the field to say, I've noticed something on your CV, or your CV doesn't seem to be reflecting your experiences, so let's make sure that what people see in how you're describing yourself actually reflects that. So I also believe that, change, it doesn't come top down. We have to create the room for the energy to percolate. And I really do want to communicate that when people have ideas or they have new initiatives, that they reach out, because that's where the new ideas and new energy is going to come from.
This is amazing what you can do, and I appreciate you. You practice this a lot and you give a lot of interviews, but just the way you're able to convey your interest in such strong statements. I always, while I do the interviews, I think of which would be the statements that I would put on top, and in every question you have just like an inspiring quote that I could print on a coffee mug. Is that something that you practice, or does that just come with the practice of such a career of a lifetime?
No, if you look at my interviews from the beginning of 2021, they're not that good. I mean, not on camera, but I actually went to, engaged a speech coach. And actually Latham, when I was still there in 2020, was offered that training to partners, and you could have individual training. And then actually I continued working with him after I left, because I just really saw the value. And he really emphasized the focus on telling stories, but also how to really communicate ideas. But even back when I was a junior lawyer, I even worked with a woman who was an opera singer, and it was all about thinking about how do you phrase what you're trying to say in with musicality, so that you can use the terminology like pauses and different speeds or something like that, but for emphasis, when you're even making an opening argument, you're thinking about how do you phrase things. But so no, I've been thinking about how do you actually do this.
Well, it's encouraging to know that this is something you can practice. It's not, oh man, I'm just not good at this. I can never have a leading role, because how am I supposed to speak like this if
that is a message.
It's just something you can practice.
That is a message to communicate, I think, to young lawyers and everyone, which is, public speaking, writing. These are skills that you learn. I think I cried when I worked on briefs for the first 4 years of my practice, and then something clicked, but it didn't just click. It clicked because I was really working on how to actually write persuasively. I was not somebody who anyone would have said is a natural writer or even a natural public speaker.
Do you feel any particular responsibility as a role model that you are to so many?
Very much so, because there is the ultimate focus that I may be the first woman in this role, but I cannot be the last. But also just a huge responsibility to assure that we continue the focus on diversity. I mean, my predecessor, Alexi Moore, has to be lauded for his audacity in assisting on gender parity of the ICC Court in 2018. And what he did can't be understated, because in 2015, the court was only 10% women. And so I know I walk in that path, and I walk in the path of all the women who have continued to fight for increased diversity. But diversity is so much broader than gender diversity, and we have to really be focusing on those issues too.
Claudia, thank you very much for this interview. It was so lovely to speak to you. I really appreciate not only the view, but all the insights you shared. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's just a real pleasure, and it's just exciting to see what you're doing on myArbitration and who you're talking to, and the focus on diversity so broadly defined. Thanks so much.
Truly, you are such a role model,
Oh,
and
thank
it's
you.
yeah, it means a lot to younger women to have someone to look up to.
Oh, thank you so much. It means a lot to me,
Thank you.
because I get the energy from all of that too.